So, identity is what makes us unique. It's what makes us ourselves. It's made up of things like what we want in life and why we want it, how and when we want it. But beyond that, does our identity really exist? Is there any unified me underneath that makes and keeps me whole? I actually don't think so, and that can be problematic. I think character exists, personality, motivations, preferences, all that exists, but I don't think there is anything beyond. There is no me that holds it all together. And of course you could be offended by this because we hold very dearly to our identity, even though we can't really put our finger on what it is. I think that's because it feels as though you're being told you don't exist, which is pretty disturbing. As someone who's dealt with a lot of dissociation myself, I understand that sentiment. But ultimately, I'm not really saying you don't exist. I'm saying instead that what you think is you doesn't exist. If we strip someone of their temporary and determined personal qualities, what remains is simply the capacity to be conscious of the world around, and that is ironically not enough to make you identifiable, not even to yourself. You are not the qualities that help identify you, nor the source of those qualities. Identity is not something that allows for discrimination between you and other people, or even other versions of yourself. You are not someone, but a state of someone. You are the capacity to feel like yourself. And of course, sometimes you don't feel like yourself because you're changing. Because you need to change, and or because there's room for change. You might forget or lose track of who you are, and people around you may or may not as well still recognize you. Their opinion, however, doesn't matter to what you feel about yourself. But even when you forget who you are, your capacity to feel like yourself is still there, and it is yours alone. Nobody else has the capacity to cultivate a sense of coherence within you but yourself. Remember the last time you felt like yourself. Don't think about what you were doing, but simply how it felt like. Do you ever feel like that lately? Lots of people still hang on to their old selves, simply because they're blind to their new selves. They simply lost track of the feeling of being themselves. But that is the real you, and you're still in there. You could still feel like yourself again. You just need to remember.
Wake up every day, I have some food and everything seems like it's going to be fine. Then all of a sudden shit